Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Ultimate Comics Podcast. My name is Nabeel Gaber, and I'm one of your hosts.
I'm Josh. I'm one of your other hosts.
And this is the podcast where we talk about Ultimate Marvel, an imprint of Marvel Comics that began in the year 2000 that was meant to modernize and reimagine Marvel and its characters to bring them into the 21st century. So that includes titles such as Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate X-Men, Ultimate Fantastic Four, The Ultimates, etc., etc. Josh and I, every episode, for the most part anyways, for most episodes, we will be talking about a batch of issues from the original Ultimate Marvel line that we read, what we like, what we might not like so much, what's held up, what hasn't aged so well, and just the Ultimate Universe's impact on Marvel as a whole in comics and in other media and beyond. This episode, we are talking about Ultimate X-Men once again, Ultimate X-Men numbers 61 through 65, which is called Magnetic North. This is actually the final story arc that was written by Brian K. Vaughan with art by Stuart Immonen. So this is like the end of their run on Ultimate X-Men. Josh, what do you think of this issues?
You and I were just talking about this. I really liked it. I actually forgot this is my second time reading this, but I feel the appeal of X-Men has always been like the family and friendship and school-esque dynamic of the characters, and this was like moi, like a perfect example of like them just being themselves. Yeah, you get a mission, which is fun too. They fight the Ultimates, which is always nice to see, but you just get the kids being chaotic little twerps. So.
Yeah, that is a good appeal of the X-Men, and I feel like it has been for a long time. A lot of the interpersonal drama and a lot of the soap opera storylines that people really get invested in.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that in these issues. It's very heavily focused on family dynamics. We're specifically going to get into like the Summers brothers and their drama, like Cyclops and Havoc.
And it's messy.
Yeah, it's messy. Some more family dynamics like the Maximoffs twins, Polaris and Magneto, and everything like that. And then, yeah, like you mentioned, Josh, a lot of drama between the X-Men and the Ultimates, who, historically, I feel like there have been ups and downs even in the main comics when it comes to the relationship between the mainline Avengers and X-Men.
Yeah.
So this is a really great, really fun batch of issues. Has so many twists and turns. And yeah, instead of talking in broad strokes, let's just get into it, right, Josh?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
In this issue, this arc, you kind of make fun of the men's hair a lot.
All right, there's one haircut that really bothers me, and it's at the beginning of issue 61. We have Wolverine and Professor X talking in Professor X's study. I love Stuart Immonen as an artist. It's like one of my favorite comic book artists of all time. This haircut that he gives Wolverine is so terrible. Like, this is not the signature Wolverine haircut that we've all come to know and love. His hair is long, it's drooping down his sides. It is not at all the classic Wolverine haircut. It's hideous.
It's the hair people had at the time, back in the 90s and 2000s when we all wore collared shirts and stuff. It's also the hair like hippies and hipsters wear in Brooklyn and Oregon.
It's disgusting. Wolverine would not have the, like, it's
It's
gross.
from Canada. It's what his people wear. He just needs a beanie.
Oh, it's awful. I hate it. So, like, looking at it, I'm like, oh, you look like greasy and nasty and disgusting.
It looks Canadian. Like someone from British Columbia.
That's an insult to Canadians.
He looks like someone from British Columbia. He just needs a beanie and like a ticket to Motley Crue.
He looks like he's going to see a Motley Crue concert. Yeah.
Exactly.
And he looks nasty. I mean, Ultimate Wolverine, to be fair, is nasty as a character generally. So I guess the haircut really matches that. But oh my god. So it took a while to get used to that. Yeah. And then we have Professor Xavier's cat, Mystique, hissing at Wolverine at the beginning. And it's really funny because Logan's like making fun of the name, and Professor X reveals that he named the cat after a woman he dated named Mystique. And I'm like, okay, well, kind of weird to name a cat after your ex, but sure, yeah. Why not?
And Logan goes, you kind of like get around a lot for a guy on a wheelchair. And I'm like, that's a little ableist, but you're right. He is a horn dog.
Yeah, like, let's just put aside the casual ableism there. Like, Professor X does get around. He's kind of a slut.
He's a horn dog.
Yeah, he's Moira McTaggart, Emma Frost, now Mystique, who we haven't even met yet in Ultimate X-Men, aside from the cat. It's crazy. I'm like, I don't know how these women fall for him.
He's a creep. And they actually comment in this comic. There's like a bad power imbalance with all of his relationships.
Yeah, it's creepy and awkward. I mean, even in the main universe, you have Professor X falling for his patient, Gabrielle Haller, and then she becomes the mother of his son, Legion. So there's that power imbalance there that led to a child.
Maybe it makes him feel powerful. I don't know.
Yeah,
He's definitely gonna get Me Too'd.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
Professor X, I have so many mixed feelings about this guy that all of our listeners, you've probably already heard, but it's not a great look the way he treats women and the relationships he goes through. I mean, I like him and Lilandra. That's like the only relationship and Magneto, of course. Those are the only two relationships with Professor X that I really abide by in that sense.
There's a lot of gay fanfic of Professor X and Magneto, by the way.
And it makes sense.
You think so?
These two are husbands.
They're rivals. They have a heated rivalry at best.
They love each other very much. These are two men. The X-Men notoriously is just like a divorce story where Professor X and Magneto make it everyone else's problem. I've read this so many places. So many people say that, and I think they're right.
I still love that line from X3, if you remember that movie.
Yeah, I remember.
Where he goes like, Charles did so much for mutant kind. My only sadness is that he had to die for the dream to live.
Yeah, he loves him. He loves this guy. Even if canonically it is, they love each other like brothers, still, there is love there, at the very least, in that sense.
Yeah, but it's not sexual love. Not all love is sexual.
I think it's romantic.
I don't think it's romantic.
Well, you'd be wrong.
Also, Professor Magneto also gets around in 616, though.
So, oh, yeah. We'll get into that. But Professor X is also like, yeah, so I take it you didn't kill Deathstrike in the previous arc when Wolverine and Storm were fighting Deathstrike, and Wolverine's like, nah, I handed her over to Fury. Yeah. And Professor X also notes that Fury said, apparently I heard there was a favor that he owed you, which is why he took Deathstrike into custody. You want to tell me about that? And Logan's like, nah, don't ask. Which, it goes back to like the Bendis David Finch issues, where Wolverine went on that mission for Fury and killed that little boy, that mutant who was out of control with his powers. So Logan's like, yeah, you don't want to know about that.
Yeah. And we're going to get more info on that actually later on.
Yeah, we'll touch on that a little later.
Yeah.
But then Dazzler and Angel are like in the living room pretty much, in the game room, making out on the couch.
Yeah.
But they get interrupted by an angry Kitty Pryde who's like phasing through the walls and yelling about Iceman and how pissed she is at him, and she's gonna get him.
The way her clothes and her belt's like, it's like very 2000s, very fashionable, like straight out of Sex and the City, dressed like a Charlotte.
You would know.
Yeah, you and everyone has watched that show.
I have not seen it.
Well, you're gonna see it. It's considered one of the best TV shows of all time.
Is that a threat? You're gonna see it.
You're gonna see it. Like, I'll be honest, like, if you ever watch it, and I don't know if you ever will, you'll probably will go, this is a very problematic show, but now I know where all these references that keep popping up in modern life and all these trends come from.
Well, we were just talking before we started recording about how much I love Glee, so maybe I will enjoy Sex and the City.
But Glee is just so problematic.
Okay, well, at least they have good music.
That's
anyways. Then we cut to Kitty Pryde phases in on the X-Men fighting a simulation of Magneto in the Danger Room. And this is really cool too, because I love seeing Storm taking charge in the field when they're training. She is like the active field leader in this simulation. She's telling everyone what to do. She's very self-assured and in charge, which I love, because I feel like as much as people rave and talk about how like Cyclops is like the greatest X-Men leader or whatever, for me it's Storm.
Yeah.
And I feel like she is overlooked so much of the time in like media outside of like the main comics as a major leader on the X-Men.
Also, I love how in this, you can see it in N616 as well. In this one, you see her grow into that leadership role. She slowly takes on more and more leadership responsibilities. She becomes more and more mature as a person.
Yeah, it's gradual and it feels earned. Yeah. And it feels like, they've definitely did a lot when it came to developing Storm's character, especially in the original Chris Claremont run.
Colossus and Bobby are like, we already beat Magneto, and she was like, you always got to be prepared. You don't know. He'll never do the same thing twice. But then Kitty goes like, hey, Bobby, you've been emailing Rogue. You misspelled her name as Rouge, by the way. And you keep messaging her saying, I miss you, I need you.
Yeah, it's so funny too because when Kitty bursts in and confronts Bobby about this, he's like, "What? You've been reading through my emails?" And she's like, "No, you CC'd me on accident, you idiot." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, that's so stupid. How could you? You're like emailing your ex about how much you miss her, and you accidentally like CC your current girl. Like, how dumb do you have? How do you do that? You have to go out of your way to do that.
He is a massive horn dog.
It's crazy. I'm like, are you stupid? Like, that's so dumb. I could not conceive of that happening.
He's thinking with his penis, not his mind, not his brain.
Yes. But I mean, let's be real. Based on the main comics, we all know he doesn't really care that much about either of them, anyways.
Well, in the main comics is gay, which is,
Exactly.
but I don't think this one's gay. I'm like, well, if he's gay, why is he banging so many girls?
He's trying
At
to
this,
compensate for something.
I mean, oh, that's a good point. But Kitty
Yeah.
goes like, "Am I just a placeholder girlfriend?" And I'm like, "I think so, Kitty. He's a massive horn dog."
And so Kitty just punches him in the stomach and says, "It's over." And Cyclops is like in the control center running the whole simulation, and he's yelling through the intercom like, "Hey, no fighting in the danger room." Well, I mean, yeah, but like not like that. You know what I mean? No fighting each other.
Yeah,
And Jean's like, "Oh, you got to give him a break. Don't you remember what it was like, at that age, how everything felt like the end of the world, like when you were in a relationship?" And she's like, "You've dated other people before me, right?" And he was like, "Just one. Just one girl."
yeah,
And we conveniently then cut to Polaris welcoming Sunspot to the Emma Frost Academy of Tomorrow in Chicago.
yeah.
That's where Emma Frost is the headmaster. And so I'm like, we just happened to cut to Polaris as soon as Cyclops says he's only dated. Nah, that can't be intentional. Wink, wink.
Also, why is Gene? To be fair, I've been shamed for this by a few people. Why is Gene shaming him for like never having dated someone at like 19 or 20? That's kind of normal.
Yeah,
Maybe
I'm
not. It's
like,
not the norm, but it's not unusual.
yeah, because like not all of us have high school romances, and not all of us like date when we're like teenagers. So I don't think
Yeah,
you should like shame people for that.
yeah.
Sometimes it takes a while.
I've never even been on a date until I was like 23.
Yeah, I'm like, no shame in that. Like, I have
Yeah,
been on only a few dates before, like, I got together with my now fiance, and like, she was my first like real relationship, and now here we are, a few years later, engaged.
and if
So,
Gray heard you say that, she'd go like, "He's too inexperienced," and I'm
yeah, I'm
like,
like, everyone goes at their own pace. Everyone has their own journey that they're going on. Leave them
yeah.
alone.
And most of us wouldn't bang like a 120-year-old hairy dick that's made out of metal.
Yeah. Like, let's look at your choices, all right?
Yeah,
Wolverine, Ultimate Wolverine?
yeah.
Maybe it's better to wait.
Emma Frost is kind of like playing second fiddle to Professor X. Like, I know the X Mansion and the X School is in Westchester, but that's like basically close enough to New York City. And she's in Chicago, America's second city. That's not even second in population.
It's an alternative, I would say. I wouldn't say she's playing second fiddle to Professor X. If she was, then she would just be at the Xavier Institute with him. I'd say this is a very different approach to education that she's taking as we get into a little bit more.
It's also like, by all standards, a more appropriate approach to education. She's probably not banging her students or flirting with
Probably
them.
not.
Probably not. We don't know. There's a weird hint later on. Like there's tests. She goes like, "Oh, we have a field team. They really just help out the cops and the firefighters, and they first got to pass an exam." And I'm like, "Yes, this is a responsible adult. This is how
Yeah,
you run."
because
Yeah,
she's talking about how like, this school, the Academy of Tomorrow, it's not just for mutants, it's for humans too. There's a lot of gifted like human kids who are just there side by side with their mutant like schoolmates,
like
and
Cypher,
everyone's welcome here.
the
Yeah, like
lamest X Men.
Cypher. Cypher is still awesome. How dare you?
Okay, there's his only mention until like the New Mutants movie came out in media outside of X Men was that he was the lamest X Men. Just saying.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, we also have Havoc at this school too, and he welcomes Sunspot as well, and Havoc is dating Polaris, and Havoc is also going on about why the Xavier Institute sucks compared to this school, and we also don't have uptight control freaks in our school, and I'm like, wow, really holding a grudge against your brother, really living in his shadow once again.
He is living in the shadow. He's dating his brother's ex. He can, everything he says is about his brother, and I'm like, hey man, there's some like psychological thing that we could take a good look at.
This is just very true to Havoc as a character in the main comics too. He is
Yeah.
constantly living in his brother's shadow. Which is weird in Ultimate, because in Ultimate he is older than Cyclops, rather than in the main universe where he's his younger brother.
Which is probably where we got that the X-Men, the Bryan Singer movies.
Oh yeah, that he's the older sibling. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, Bryan Singer canceled. Apparently, he's a monster.
Yeah, awful human being.
The
Definitely.
actress for Storm, Halle Berry, who isn't in much these days, kind of said, "My proudest moment in my life was when I stood up to Bryan Singer," and I'm like, "It's that bad?"
Yep. Yeah.
Is it kid stuff, or is it he was just being awful to adults?
Both.
Oh, that's double bad.
Yeah. But yeah, Emma talks a lot about the school, and she's also like, Roberto, she's talking to Sunspot saying, like, you've been setting a good example, leading, like, your neighborhood watch in Harlem. We could use you here because, like, this school is really about us being not child soldiers, but, like, ambassadors for mutant kind through education and reaching out to humanity there. So it's a very different approach to things. And we also see this when Northstar, who's also enrolled at the school, approaches Emma Frost and tells her that there's like a fire and there's a situation going on. So Emma tells Havoc, Northstar, and Polaris to go on this mission to help the firefighters, like, in relief in this disaster. And Sunspot's like, oh, I want to go. And she reveals, like, only like those who pass the advanced leadership course at our school can go on field missions. And even then, it's not like combat missions. It's like, oh, I'm going to like help out if there's been a fire or some kind of natural disaster or things like that.
And that is like the right take, realistically.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's not putting children in danger, and I feel like kids should have the option to just be kids and not like be thrown into a battlefield if they don't want to.
Also, for jobs that require like any potential of like danger, at almost every job you need to pass an exam. Like a firefighter or a cop only could go into the field after they pass an exam. Like if you do energy work, you actually need to be like legally designated and a qualified electrical personnel to go near power lines.
Yeah.
She does it the correct way, but the comic always goes with Xavier saying, "No, just throw these kids into battle. That's the right way.
Yeah.
That's the man way. That's the one with chest hair."
And I feel like neither one of them is truly right or truly wrong. I feel like there should at least be those opportunities and those options for like kids to choose which path they want to take. Because some of them are okay with like going straight into a battlefield in the front lines and be an X-Man.
I disagree. I think Frost is like the responsible, correct way.
I mean, it's responsible, but I think the X-Men at a certain point get to choose like what they want to do, especially once they legally become adults, like Scott or Jean or something.
True. So Havoc is an adult, and I hope Polaris is one too, because she is dating Havoc.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then Northstar, Havoc, and Polaris arrive to help. But as soon as they get to the fire, like Havoc is like barking orders, which is first of all hilarious because I'm like, all right, you talk shit about Cyclops, but you guys are more alike than you think. And Polaris is like lifting cars with her powers of magnetism, and she suddenly loses control and she accidentally like crushes the fire chief with this car, and then like breaks apart a fire truck and like impales a bunch of more firefighters, and it's crazy. And Havoc has to knock her out
by blasting her.
Yeah, he's crying and screaming at Northstar to go get Ms. Frost. So this is a horrible disaster, and this is like the inciting incident here for this story. And then we have Nick Fury in a plane above Genosha, and he gets a call from Dum Dum Dugan, who informs him of the situation and says, hey, we have only one cell where we can hold someone as powerful as Polaris. And they cut to that cell way below the Triskelion with Magneto sitting there playing chess with himself. Like, it's a cool like splash page at the end where he just says check.
Checkmate. Oh, just check. You're right.
Yeah, and he's sitting there, but I'm also like, why? You're not playing. There's no one there. Like, did Charles have to cancel for today? Like, why are you just sitting there alone?
It's a smart person trope where, like, oh, they're so smart, they could play chess by themselves.
I'm like, dude, call your friends. Like, get someone over there.
Well, he's in prison.
I'm like, do something else and, like, do some crosswords. Get some Sudoku out there. Like, why are you just playing chess alone?
Have you ever played chess by yourself?
No. Why would I ever do that?
Sometimes you're bored, and you have a chessboard.
There are games like Solitaire, designed specifically for one person.
True, but chess is, like, cool. Look, there's
so
movies
cool
about
you
chess.
Just had to play it alone.
Anya Taylor-Joy is in a movie about a chess player she'll never be in a movie about solitaire players.
It's a series. It's not a movie. It's
Tomato,
the Queen's
potato.
Gambit. Anyways, we then start off issue 62 with Longshot in the Savage Land after the whole Longshot arc that we had previously. He's hunting down a pterodactyl and he's grown a beard, which pretty funny stuff. Like that's just classic Savage Land tropes.
Yeah.
And
he meets Scarlet Witch.
yes, he gets approached by the Scarlet Witch, and first he's like, "You're Magneto's daughter. That's so cool." And she's like, "Yeah, you would think that."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, are you here to help me out?" And she's like, "Nah, I'm here to take you in because of like, the human that you killed and all the trouble you caused for mutant kind. I'm here to arrest you." So they get in this big fight, and she is surprisingly agile. She does a bunch of flips and stuff, and I was like, damn, I didn't know S.H.I.E.L.D. was training you like that.
It's also not something she's able to do as much in 616.
Yeah, she's not a very physical, like, fighter. She mainly just uses her spells and her probability manipulation and things like that.
Yeah. And I actually thought, it's not Wanda, it's Mystique, but it is just Wanda.
That would have been very interesting because of the moves that she was doing. That would have made some sense.
Yeah. So she just blasts Longshot and turns him into a cat. Yeah.
And it's very funny because, like, it's cool how their powers kind of cancel each other out because he alters probability and she alters probability. And so she cancels out his powers and then uses her powers back on him, turning him into a cat, which is so funny.
Yeah.
And she reports back to Nick Fury, and he's like, yeah, don't worry, we're not like sending him back to Genosha or Krakoa. We're just gonna send him to the Triskelion. We're bringing him home.
And she also goes like, you owe me Nobu. And I'm like, come on, man. Nobu's not that great, I bet.
Yeah.
Have you been?
No, I haven't.
But you know what it is, right?
I got an idea from what they were saying, yeah. It sounded nice.
It's a sushi restaurant.
Yeah, I love sushi, so I would take it.
It's like a very expensive sushi restaurant that's only in New York City, Las Vegas, LA, and Chicago. Mm-hmm. And it's like $2,000 for like one fish.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's way too expensive. I'm like, you could just get decent sushi for $20 anywhere else.
Yeah, you could get good sushi somewhere else easily.
Yeah, exactly.
For a much better price. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then in Chicago, Alex is like fighting with Emma Frost at the scene of the crime. He's like having a tantrum because Emma let Polaris be taken into custody after she accidentally like killed all those firefighters.
And Emma goes, I don't have a choice.
Yeah, she's literally like, hey, if I want to protect the school, I had to like cooperate. Otherwise, they're coming after all of us.
Yeah.
And she has this moment where she like sparkles a bit when she loses her temper at him. And I'm like, oh, that's so funny. She like gets angry and she starts like glowing a little bit, hinting at her diamond form.
What was it? And then he goes like, they're gonna cut her open. They're gonna like force her into the Middle East. And I'm like, hey man, the government can no longer do experiments anymore because they don't have scientists on their staff anymore.
But it's so funny though because Emma's like, yeah, I know Nick Fury. He isn't like that. And I'm like, what do you mean? Of course he is. This whole existence is like that.
Do you know how many Spider-Man villains he's created by now?
Like in the Ultimates annual, he was just like making like a bunch of failed Captain Americas that just kept dying off because their bodies couldn't handle the super soldier serum. Of course he's gonna cut her open or turn her into a weapon. What? Yeah. Are you kidding me? But yeah, we cut to Polaris, who is in the same cell as Magneto, literally. Like they're not even in cells that are next to each other. I'm like, bro, really? You locked her up with Magneto?
Like they said, there's no other place to put her, and the artist chose to give her a midriff prison uniform because for some reason.
Because why not? Let's make it sexy too.
Emma Frost as a teacher's also having a midriff, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is peak 2000s, but come on, guys.
Yeah, not super professional. Yeah, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and Magneto goes like, we're like Malcolm X, we're in jail. I know you feel it's the end of the world, but we'll get smarter through this. We're gonna get like ripped in our minds.
Yeah, Magneto's so pretentious and full of shit in this one. I'm like, oh my god.
Well, like he is smart in the original comics. Like he does quote like Malcolm X. And, like revolutionaries like Che Guevara and all that.
Because he is like a political leader and like a civil rights activist.
Yeah, who eats people.
Yeah, in Ultimate, I'm like, oh, you are so full of shit. Like, dude, you are just so full of it.
Yeah, Malcolm X would never eat a person. Everyone draws a line somewhere.
Exactly. And he wouldn't like try to like hook up his daughter with Cyclops or something.
Call me daddy.
Yeah. And Quicksilver, speaking of Call Me Daddy, Quicksilver is watching, and over the intercom he threatens Magneto. He's like, don't lay a hand on her. I swear to God, I'll come down there, I'll slap you silly. And I just love this family drama. This is the moment where I was like, oh, so it's gonna be like not only about the Summers brothers, but it's about like Magneto's family too, and like all the drama there with all his kids. I love that. And then Magneto, as you'll notice, actually invites Lorna to play chess, and she doesn't know how to play, but he's like, I'm an excellent teacher. And I'm like, you know what? That's progress. Finally, he actually is playing it with someone instead of sitting there trying to look cool by like sitting at a chessboard alone.
It's also about like we kind of forget that in this version there's like 3 visions of mutant kind. There's Professor X's version, which is a little confusing in the context of Ultimates. There's Magneto's vision, and then there's like the weird one, Emma Frost's vision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, I think it's very similar to 6162, where the 3 of them are all teachers too, and all have different views on how to like, fight for mutant kind.
Yeah.
And they all have different views on things, just like in Ultimate here. So it's really cool how you get the 3 different perspectives throughout this run.
Yeah. I will say though, chess is complicated-ish. It's not the hardest game to teach, weirdly enough.
Yeah, it's not that. I remember learning when I was really young. I must have been like 8 years old or something.
Yeah. I don't think I'm a great chess player, but I've taught a few people. It's very doable within an afternoon. It's surprisingly doable in an afternoon, from my experience. Yeah.
But yeah, that's true. So it shouldn't take long for her to learn. And spoilers, it will not take long.
Yeah.
But Charles Xavier is now on a call with Emma, and he tells her, yeah, Lorna's locked up with Magneto. And Emma's like, what? Magneto? Are you kidding me? I'm like, yep, you don't know Nick Fury as well as you thought, huh?
Yeah. And it's funny once her students find out, they're like, we just looked her up with like Osama bin Laden, basically.
Yeah. Because yeah, Charles like tells Emma, be strong, don't tell anyone that Lorna is locked up with Magneto. But of course, Havoc and his buddies are all listening in because he got Cypher,
the lamest X-Man.
Doug Ramsey, Cypher, not the lamest X-Man, because he got him to turn their cable box into a receiver, so they like listened in on Emma's transmission to Charles. And so Havoc is there with Cypher, he's there with Northstar, Sunspot, Cannonball too, who we hadn't seen until this point, I'm pretty sure. And they're all listening in, and Havoc is like, all right, boys, we're breaking Polaris out, let's do it. And Cypher's like, well, I don't have any powers and I can't do anything in a fight, so I'm staying behind. And I think it's interesting here too because they make a point that Doug is not a mutant in this one. He's just kind of a genius prodigy.
Yeah.
In this version, whereas like in the main comics, he is a mutant who has the power to like understand any like language and like communicate in any language.
And I think in this one he was recruited because he was on a game show where he just won a lot of money, and Emma Frost was like, we need that freak in our mansion.
Yeah, he's like a Jeopardy champion.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, sure, why not?
Yeah.
But that is an interesting change. But of course he stays behind, and that's probably for the best because, spoilers for the main universe, he does get like killed in the original New Mutants series. So I'm like, protect him at all costs.
And then he comes back.
Yes, yeah, he does.
Yeah.
And he becomes awesome. Then Alex is also kind of a jerk. Like Havoc threatens Cannonball into joining the breakout, even though Cannonball says he thinks he should stay behind because he doesn't want to like risk getting expelled. Because he's like, yeah, there's no school in Kentucky that's going to take me if like I get expelled here. Like, I don't want to risk that. But Havoc's like, you coming or what? Like, he's really kind of a jerk. He's like blasting stuff in anger.
He calls Cannonball selfish. He's like, you're selfish, you're not coming with us. And I'm like, hey man, you're threatening this kid who wants to get an education. That's not selfish.
Yeah, you're just strong arming him and bullying him into like joining you so you can break your girlfriend out of prison.
Yeah.
Like, you're not a hero.
Sunspot is like, yeah, I'll join. I've never left Harlem. And I'm like, which is interesting because I believe Sunspot is from Brazil in the original comics. And is rich.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, he's very wealthy in the comics. I think in this version, probably like he's still Brazilian. It's just like he grew up in the United States in this one.
Yeah, Brazilian American probably.
Yeah.
And is not rich.
Yeah, exactly. Which is, yeah, that's very different for sure.
Yeah.
But Magneto, meanwhile, in his cell is kind of like manipulating Polaris
Yeah.
because he tells her all about how like Charles and Emma used to be a thing, which she didn't know. And
Yeah.
he's like, yeah, I find that kind of like abusive power dynamic reprehensible. And I'm like, Magneto, you are such a hypocrite. I know we're talking about like 616 Magneto and like X-Men 97 Magneto, but come on, Rogue, are you kidding me?
But he is right, because Charles does seem to date his students, which is pretty weird.
That's true, but he's not the one who should be saying anything. Like you've never done anything like this, Magneto.
Look, man, Ultimate Magneto may eat people, but he doesn't abuse power dynamics for sex.
I don't know about that. He still just abuses his children and eats people, but that's fine.
That's different. That's a different crime.
Yeah, totally different.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. He's right. But he's really just like clearly trying to get Polaris on his side. Meanwhile, back at the X Mansion, Professor X is briefing the X-Men on this whole situation with Polaris and how she's locked up with Magneto now. And then Cyclops is like, no way. There's no way she'd lose control of her powers. And they're all like, how do you know? And he's like, yeah, we used to date.
Yeah.
And even Jean's like, wait, what? Like, you dated Polaris?
And Bobby's like, wait, your brother is dating your ex? That's kind of weird. And I'm like, yes, Bobby, it's weird. There's a level of incest in this X. If you get Emma Frost to school and the Brotherhood and X Mansion, and you're like, who is 1 degree of sex away from each other? It's like it's a tangled web.
It's so nasty. This is the soap opera shenanigans we're talking about with X-Men.
There's
like everyone's hooking up with everyone. Doesn't matter which political allegiance you are, which school you're going to, which leader you follow, who you're related to even, I guess.
But yeah, it's like there must be some mutant STDs going around.
Yeah,
but
yikes.
I totally believe it now that I think about it, because like all the mutants are fit, and we find out that the Olympic Village in Italy just ran out of condoms for the Olympians this year. So
yep. They're like Olympic athletes, really, if you think about it.
Yeah, there's even a surprising in DC, they make fun of it with question going, yeah, everyone looks like an Olympian. I'm like, first of all, question, you're the least likely person to say that. But you're right. These guys are horny, they're fit.
Yeah, that's true. And Professor X says, all right, Cyclops, Nightcrawler, Storm, Wolverine, and Shadowcat, you're all going to find Havoc and his boys. And then meanwhile, also Colossus, Jean, Iceman, you're going to form a perimeter around the Triskelion in case like Havoc and his crew make it there. You're the last line of defense. And Angel and Dazzler are like, yeah, so what about us? And he's like, nothing. You're fine. Don't worry about it. Like,
because they're the latest X-Men on the team.
Yeah, and I think also with the whole like long shot incident on Genosha, they got taken off the field for a while because of like freeing Longshot, so they've been like benched for a while.
Yeah, they're also the least trained, and Dazzler's kind of a bad influence on Angel.
Yes, yeah, that's for sure. As we will also see, spoilers later in this story.
Yeah. We find out 2 members of the Brotherhood are lugging around this equipment, an electromagnetic field generator, and they use it to frame Polaris. And one of them is Forge, your favorite X-Men.
Well, not my favorite, but one of my favorites. I love Forge. And yeah, he's a member of the Brotherhood in this version. I think we saw him like near the end of the Mark Millar Ultimate X-Men, but he's working with another unnamed mutant as of right now. Like you said, Josh, they framed Polaris, and then there's like a cop who finds them, and they end up like just shooting the cop, and Forge is like, Jesus, what? And the other mutant's like, no witnesses, and then turns into that cop and reveals that she is Mystique. So this is the first look we get at Mystique in the Ultimate Universe.
I also don't know if it's on purpose, but the cop and Mystique, who turns into the cop, looks a lot like Rebecca Romijn, who is Mystique's actress in the movies at the time.
Rebecca Romaine, you mean?
Oh, what?
Oh, it's Romaine. That's how you say her last name.
But it's spelled Romijn, right? Or
yeah.
Okay.
It's just the pronunciation is different. But
really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. No, I didn't even know that until I heard it said on a talk show or something one time. So
she's a great actress that was just kind of wasted in the movies.
Yeah, I think that's the case for most of the actors playing different characters in the X-Men movies. Like the actors were wasted, the characters were wasted, unless you were like Wolverine, Professor X, or Magneto.
Yeah. But it's also a shame because for better or for worse, she's one of the more iconic X-Men from the movies because she was just naked and blue the whole time,
And scaly, yeah.
and scaly, and people just remember that. Unfortunately,
Yeah, unfortunately.
which is shame because she's a great actress. She's in a lot of nerd stuff.
Well, she'll be coming back for Avengers Doomsday, so...
Not J-Law, it's her.
Yep, it's Rebecca Romaine. There's no
I
way they could have gotten J-Law back for that.
Is it because she's too expensive?
Yeah, and I think she was just done with it by the end.
Hey man, she had the greatest line in the. It's like it should be called X-Woman.
Oh god, don't even bring that up again.
That's not even a bad line because they do the same line in this arc.
Do they? Man,
Yeah,
I
they
didn't.
do. You're out, man. She goes, and then she goes, and outwomaned.
That's still also cringy.
Yeah, but it's not that bad. It's not the worst.
It's
I could
better
totally
than saying, might as well call them ex-women.
I could see someone just saying that out of a fit of anger. It's not an unrealistic line that someone.
It's just horrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, the next issue 63, opens with Jean invading Cyclops' mind to get a look at his relationship with Polaris, which is like, okay, rude. You're not even going to ask to look in there? You could knock.
I mean, they're together.
Yeah, but like, come on. He's even like, hey, what are you doing in there? Mm-hmm. And she's like, I just want to know why you never told me about her. And I'm like, nosy. Yeah. Why don't you ask? Scott goes into the detail over how like Lorna ended up choosing Alex over him because Cyclops always chose school over girls, and it was the other way around with Havoc.
It's also a little weird that there's a love triangle between two brothers. But...
yeah, that is so weird.
Yeah.
If I were Polaris, I'd be like, what am I doing here? Maybe I should get out of this. And Jean is like, oh, do you still have feelings for her? And then Scott's like, oh, well, what about you having like the professor in your head all the time? And I'm like, yikes, that's a crazy accusation.
And that's also kind of true.
Yeah. Well, I can tell at the very least the professor's got something for Jean, so there is something problematic going on there.
They kind of reconcile. He says, I love you too. But he says it out loud. Wolverine hears it and goes like, I hope you're not talking about me.
Yeah. And I'm like, I hope you are talking about Wolverine, actually. Because
I wrote a fanfic about that.
Yes, you did. And I had the misfortune of reading it.
Yeah.
But yes, I think in the love triangle of Cyclops, Jean, and Wolverine, I definitely prefer the pairing of Cyclops and Wolverine.
Why is that?
Not even in a romantic, sexual sense. I'm just saying, like, just as bros. Like, I
think
love those
they
guys.
have sex. Oh, especially because it's now been confirmed, basically. And I bet it's very violent and hairy.
And I don't even have to imagine it because you wrote it down in explicit detail.
Exactly.
Oh, God.
And it's good.
Yep.
I'm not
Josh
a horn dog,
does
by the
have
way.
a Cyclops Wolverine fanfic.
You can find it online, by the way.
Oh, man. Please don't.
Archive of our own, baby.
Oh, wow. So yeah, Cyclops ultimately, though, is just worried about fighting Havoc and what that's going to happen, but Jean does reassure him that things are going to be all right. He's got it.
Yeah.
And then we have Nick Fury taking Longshot as prisoner on a tour of the Triskelion. And we get this really fun, like, look back at villains they fought previously in this run. Like, Deathstrike is there, and Sinister is there, or they just call him Essex here.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, don't worry, though. The real threats are downstairs.
But you're not a threat, so we'll just stick you with these, like, mutates, basically.
Yeah, it's fun, though. It's like in episodes of, like, Batman, the animated series or something, when you see, like, them just like going down the halls of Arkham and you get a bunch of cameos from Batman villains, like the Joker and Two-Face are there and everyone. It felt a lot like that, so that was a very funny moment. And then downstairs we have Magneto playing chess with Polaris and further manipulating her and explaining his warped view on how, like, you know, I kill humans out of love for my fellow mutants.
I don't hate humans.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay there, buddy, sure, I mean, that's the case.
I feel like regular Magneto would go like, yeah, I only kill humans out of necessity, not because I have actually any hatred of them. Yeah,
and I think regular Magneto, main universe Magneto, would say that and fully believe that, and that would fully be in character for Magneto. This Magneto, I'm like, you're just full of shit. You're trying to manipulate Polaris.
I do like that it's not even recent, it's been years now since COVID, when Krakoa was a thing, we actually see the other side of Magneto where, like, he did mean it, because, like, he says, like, oh, I killed humans because mutants were in a weak spot, and now that we're in a more strong spot, we should be kinder, because we have the capability and we have more room to breathe now.
Yeah, and in recent years too, in the main comics, Magneto has come around to like it's not just about fighting for mutants, it's about fighting for all of the oppressed on the Earth, humans and mutants alike, which is a really good development and a really solid like character progression for him.
Yeah, and also he wouldn't eat people. He would draw the line at like children and people eating
Exactly.
people. Yeah.
Yeah. He's all about protecting the children and he would never eat someone, which is crazy that I have to say that.
I also will say 616 Magneto, massive horn dog. Polaris in this comic is not his daughter, but Magneto in 616 just spreads his genes with random women who are sometimes married.
That is true, yeah.
Yeah.
He's got quite a few children.
Why does he have so many kids?
Well, some of them have been retconned out of being his kids, so.
Yeah, well, I'm not happy about that, so.
Neither am I.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, he definitely, like, manipulates Lorna in this because she starts breaking down and crying and going on about how she didn't mean to kill those people. And he's hugging her and being like, we're the same. We do what we do out of necessity, and we do what we do, you know, out of love for our fellow mutants. And I'm like, don't lump her in with you. You clearly framed her so you could get her into this position where you can, like, manipulate her to your side.
No, Mystique framed her.
And who do you think Mystique was working for?
The Brotherhood.
And who leads the Brotherhood?
Not Magneto, he's in jail.
Yeah, of course. He could never lead anything from jail.
Meanwhile, the Emma Frost's group, who are against her orders, trying to break Polaris out of prison, crash their car because Nightwing hops in and goes like, I'm here to crash your car.
Nightcrawler, not Nightwing.
Oh, sorry, Nightcrawler,
Wrong
not
universe.
Nightwing.
Wrong company. Dick Grayson does not appear in this comic.
Yeah. Nightcrawler.
As much as I would love that.
Yeah. Nightcrawler, who learned his English from TV, allegedly, a few issues ago, possibly goes, Guten Tag, I'm here to crash your car. They crash the car, they get out, and they see Cyclops and the X-Men going, you're outmanned. And Kitty goes, and outwomaned.
Yes. And I'm like, that makes sense for Kitty, though. She's a teenage girl. Of course she would say something like that.
You don't think J-Lo would have said, you should be called X-Woman now? You don't think she would have said that?
She did.
Yeah,
Nothing
she
I
did.
can do can change that, unfortunately.
Uh-huh.
But there's this big fight, you know, Cannonball tackles Wolverine, and Northstar takes out Kitty, and Storm gets hit by Sunspot, and Cyclops takes out Sunspot, and there's a lot of back and forth, a lot of, like, this big skirmish between two different factions of mutants from different schools fighting each other.
Havoc and Scott blast each other. Scott goes like, you know, our powers don't do anything to each other. And Havoc goes, remember how I always won in our fights? And he takes out a pipe. He just beats the shit out of Cyclops.
Yeah, he just hits him over the head with a pipe. And what's really funny, though, and interesting is, like, Alex is like, nah, Cyclops let me win. He wants me to free Polaris. So, like, I could never have beaten him otherwise. And I'm like, okay, well, at least you're not trying to, like, brag about, yeah, I beat him. I'm one. I'm superior. He's like, nah, he totally gave me that.
Yeah. Well, I also think, like, it seems that he does win most of their one-on-one fights by taking out, like, a metal weapon or a board of wood and just smacking him around a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like, their powers, even in the main universe, too, they don't work on each other.
Yeah.
And I think Cyclops would definitely win, though, if he wanted to, because he's the much better tactician and combatant than Havoc, at least in the main universe.
Yeah.
But there's also a subplot going on where Angel and Dazzler have gone out on their own to find Havoc, and Dazzler's like, yeah, I can think like him because you just gotta think like a bad boy, and since she's the bad girl, makes sense.
Maybe she should get with Havoc.
Yeah, maybe. But, you know, Angel's just too good.
Yeah.
And she's like, if we get kicked out of school, we can always just restart my band. Angel's like, I don't even play an instrument. She's like, you can learn.
Yeah, all angels know how to play trumpets, and then they make out in the skies.
Yeah, I'm like, this subplot is not going to end well. You guys should have stayed at home. Like, you can tell that something's going to go wrong.
Yeah. You know, most of Dazzler's decisions don't really go well in the Ultimate so far.
Yeah, like, she's always leading them to disaster.
Yeah.
She's the bad girl punk rocker who just, like, goes out and, like, does things without thinking about them. And
no sense of judgment.
Yeah, people are just led astray.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that makes sense. And Northstar and Havoc then just decide to ditch the battle and ditch the rest of their classmates who've been beaten.
Yeah.
And Nightcrawler has found Wolverine and teleported him back after Wolverine was tackled away by Cannonball. And Nightcrawler's like, what happened? And then Logan's like, yeah, we got schooled. Like, we lost this one.
Which means Emma Frost's team is technically better.
Yeah, I mean, they barely won because they just retreated with Havoc and Northstar and everyone else is unconscious. But I guess, yeah, technically they won that one. And Mystique is with Forge, and they are in a car as Alex and Northstar speed past. And she's like, yeah, don't worry, these two are the plan to break out Magneto. Like, this is the plan. They're not going to get in the way. This is what we want.
Cyclops calls you and goes like, all right, time for plan B. You guys who are like creating the perimeter, get ready.
Yeah, exactly. So Colossus also hears that Northstar is with them, and he's like, Northstar is going to be here? Oh my gosh. And it's so funny because he's just really excited to see the guy he's got a crush on. But before anything else can happen, issue 63 ends with the Ultimates arriving to stop Havoc and Northstar, being like, we'll take it from here.
Yeah. Also, Colossus, Horn Dog, you shouldn't be excited for this, even if your crush is on the other side. You should suppress your feelings deep down.
Yeah, like you.
Yes.
I mean, give the guy a break, you know? It's
That
not
is true.
often that, like, two single gay teenage boys find each other. So, like, let them have this one.
Are they even teenagers at this point? Their ages are a little, like...
I think Colossus and Northstar are on the younger side in this.
Okay.
But, I don't know. Maybe late teens. Who knows? It's hard to tell because Colossus is just a huge guy. So
yeah. In 64, we start with Cypher, the lamest X-Man, being punished by Emma Frost by being forced to reorganize the library.
Yeah, because she didn't rat out his classmates about them going to break out Polaris.
Yeah, but he watches the footage over and over again and deduces that Polaris didn't lose control of her powers because she didn't use her powers, and that she's being framed. And Emma Frost goes, I could kiss you, and he goes like, yes, and she just calls.
Like, you shouldn't say that to a student. That's inappropriate.
Yes, and also Cypher, the lamest X-Men, you shouldn't say yes. You should say no. Just say no.
I mean, he's a teenage boy. I'm sure he has had fantasies like that. It's natural.
About his teacher?
Some boys do.
Well, you shouldn't.
I know, it's wrong, but it's really up to the responsible adult to be like, hey, let's bump the brakes on that.
Yeah. She contacts Charles, and I'm like, Charles, he's also banged a student or two, so maybe Emma Frost cut, like, apples don't fall far from trees sometimes.
She took all the wrong lessons from Charles.
Yeah.
But yeah, she lets Charles know that Polaris was framed. Meanwhile, back at the Triskelion, the Ultimates are telling the X-Men to go home, and Captain America's like, yeah, unless you want a repeat of what happened in Russia, which was during Ultimate Nightmare.
Yeah.
And it's really funny because Iceman's like, wait, what happened in Russia? And Colossus was like, just quiet, Bobby. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
The little covert ops that Wolverine, Jean, and Colossus went on. It's fine.
It was also just unnecessary for them to have gone, in hindsight, too.
Oh, yeah. You guys can all hear about that in our Ultimate Nightmare review, by the way.
Quicksilver goes, they're safe. She's with Magneto, and Steve's like, you didn't need to tell them that.
Yeah. But Quicksilver's like, well, I thought the professor would have told them, and Jean's like, no, it's actually interesting that how much the professor doesn't tell us. So I'm like, ooh, she's getting suspicious of the prof.
Wanda and Pietro are cuddling in the background. I'm like, okay, guys, we know where this is going to lead to. This is a little weird.
Oh, it's awful. It's nasty. I don't like it.
Yeah. Maybe it's like a prison thing where, like, just like guys bang other guys in prison. Well, Wanda and Pietro are in prison.
It's not the same, though. These are siblings.
I know, but I'm trying to explain. I'm trying to rationalize why this would happen.
You can't rationalize or justify any of this. This is fucked up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really funny, too, because we see Northstar running Havoc to the Triskelion, and I love the way he's carrying Alex, because he's just got him, like, over his shoulders, like he's just carrying him over his back, like a sack of potatoes or something. He's not even giving him a piggyback ride. Alex is just dangling over his shoulders.
You gotta do what you gotta do. Also, like, I always find it weird that, like, at the Flash equivalent in Marvel is Quicksilver, but technically Northstar is a lot faster than Quicksilver. But
really? I didn't know he was faster than him.
He's canonically a lot faster than Quicksilver, and I believe in the 616 he flies. No, he definitely flies.
He does fly in 616, I know that, but yeah, I didn't think he was faster than Quicksilver.
Yeah, he's a lot faster than Quicksilver. He and his sister are both faster than...
Well, no wonder Quicksilver is still such a dud in the main universe, then.
Yeah, I always feel sad for him.
Yeah. I don't. He's actually just an asshole, but it's fine.
There was a character I remember who, like, I could read everyone's minds and I could beat every X-Men, and Quicksilver's the only one who could beat him because he goes like, yeah, but if my plan is just to run at you super fast and beat the crap out of you, like, it doesn't matter if you know my next move. You're gonna lose.
Yeah.
But Northstar will probably have done it better. So
Yeah, Northstar will probably have done it better, and that's really funny because he's not even that popular of a character.
which is a shame. 'Cause, I actually like Northstar in the comics.
Yeah, Northstar is pretty cool.
He's
Yeah.
objectively a decent a teacher when he was a teacher on the X-Men Mansion.
First gay wedding in mainstream comics.
That is true.
And like one of the first, if not the first, like characters to come out as gay in mainstream comics too. So that's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, Havoc is telling Northstar the plan, which is that they're going to play the Ultimates and the X-Men against each other, which they don't even have to try that hard to do because they're easily at odds anyways. So,
Yeah.
and back in the cell, Magneto is like really like buttering up Polaris because she beats him in chess for the first time after like 11 games or something. And he's like, impressive. Like, you have great strategy skills. They're astounding. And I'm like, oh my God. And he's like, but don't worry, we won't be here much longer. It's like, I'm about to get my sentence commuted, meaning he's going to get broken out.
Yeah. And he goes like, you could be an officer in my Brotherhood of Mutants.
Yeah, like you could be a leader in the Brotherhood. Like you could be part of it. Polaris is very much not about this, which good for her. It didn't work. She uses the R word though, which is not great in insulting his name.
I don't like the way she did it, but she makes a point. Magneto is a dumb name.
Yeah, like she uses a slur, but I also knew that you would agree with her about Magneto's name being dumb.
And he goes, well, you're an overweight harlot.
And I'm like, Jesus Christ. As how quickly we show our true colors, Magneto. And then he just like hits her with a chair and says like that he never cared about her and he was just using her, which sounds very much like Magneto's relationship with Polaris in the main comics, unfortunately, too.
Yeah. But it's also to show, I feel like his is revolutionary, his is intellectual, but it's also a hypocrite. He doesn't really care, and the instant someone says no in any way, he just,
yeah,
loses it.
If he's not getting his way, then and this person's not serving the purpose that he wants, he's gonna kick him to the curb. And then Northstar arrives at the Triskelion and hits the Ultimates and the X-Men, and Iceman tries to catch him but accidentally freezes Captain America, which is really funny.
Which starts to
back
fight,
on ice.
And they're like, we thought him out of ice before, we could do it again.
Yeah. But unfortunately, the Ultimates and the X-Men do end up fighting each other because the Wasp zaps Iceman, and then she gets zapped by Jean, and it's messy.
She gets teleported to New Jersey by Wanda.
Yeah, Wanda sends Jean to New Jersey, which is actually hilarious. And she's like, Scott, I'm going to need you to pick me up on your way back.
Forge and Mystique, while the fight's going on, actually do manage to break into the Triskelion.
Yes, because everyone's distracted fighting each other.
Yeah.
And then Havoc arrives on the scene as like Colossus is like the last X-Man standing, and he's got Wanda. Havoc arrives and blasts like Iron Man and Black Widow. And
Iron Man goes, I don't blame you, Alex. I've been with many, many sexy, hot, dangerous women. You do crazy things for them. And
I mean, like, he's got a point. You're speaking from experience. You're trying to relate to the youths.
It just sounds so weird. Like scenes where he goes like that scene, and he goes like, "You can't do this, and trust me, I have done all of these sins and bad stuff, and all these drugs, and I assure you,
don't make my mistakes. Don't bang all the hot women that I did."
Yeah, I was like, it's like, is it worth it? Yes, but don't do it.
Yeah. Do as I say, not as I do.
Have you ever had like the cop come into your school and goes like, "Don't do drugs, kids"? Because I'll let you know, I've done all of these drugs and it's super cool, but don't do. It reminds me of that. Yeah,
that does sound a lot like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, meanwhile, Angel and Dazzler are flying overhead as they see the blast, when Havoc's blasting Iron Man and Black Widow, and they're like, "Oh well." Look, because they see Mystique and Forge breaking in, they don't know that they're the Brotherhood. They just think that they're like also from the Academy for Tomorrow. So they're like, oh, it's Havoc's team. Let's stop them while everyone else is busy. Mm-hmm. So they go and follow them. Meanwhile, Colossus is like holding Wanda captive, and Havoc and Northstar are actually trying to get Colossus on their side. And they're like, hey, see reason here. But Wanda's getting ready to power up and attack. So Havoc just takes both Colossus and the Scarlet Witch out with a blast, which sucks because Northstar's like, damn, okay, well, I guess only one of us is getting lucky tonight.
You horn dog.
I'm just saying, like,
not them.
Still, just let Northstar and Colossus be happy. Let them get together. They deserve it. They seem like nice boys.
You could be happy with this person, but you don't know if that other person's interested, and that's not an excuse to be a horn dog.
It seems like they're both interested. Yeah, you know.
But they're fighting.
Yeah, but you know, afterwards.
They could
We'll
go
get back
watch a
to this
movie.
later.
They
Well,
could just
believe
Netflix.
me. Yeah. Mystique and Forge finally reach Magneto, and it seems like Mystique and Magneto are in love in this, which is crazy. Because also, not only is it weird because that's not at all how it is in the main universe, it's also weird because Professor X and Mystique were a thing in this. So everyone's just switching partners left and right like square dancers.
It's also this weird take on like women by these writers, where they go like these guys who have inferiority complex and comparing themselves to each other are always banging the same women, and
Yeah.
like, and it's always like they're going for seconds with each other. It's a weird take. It's very property-esque.
Yeah, it's not great, like in the objectification of women.
Yeah, as like a prop. But also they recite love poetry to each other, and Forge goes like, "Oh my gosh, you guys do this every single time you guys meet."
He's like rolling his eyes like, again with the poems, guys? I'm right here. Can you give it a rest?
Yeah. Meanwhile, the Angel and Dazzler are inside. They're like, "We're gonna stop them." And this boom happens, and all of Dazzler's piercings get ripped out. And Colossus, Angel goes, "What happened?" She goes like, "All my piercings you could see have ripped out." I'm like, "Ew."
Yeah,
In both
like
cases.
TMI.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a big blast, presumably from Magneto as he's breaking out. So Dazzler gets her piercings ripped out. All the power to the holding cells goes out. And then Deathstrike, at the end of issue 64, it ends on this cliffhanger of Deathstrike stabbing Dazzler with one of her claws.
Yeah, kind of for no reason, like, really.
Just because she knows that they're friends with Aurora,
But
and
they're
she
not
hates
friends
Storm.
with Aurora. They just know each other.
I mean, they are in the same class. They go to the same school together. Guilty by association.
Wait,
They're X-Men.
If someone from our college or my high school shows up and I get shot because they go like, "Oh, you knew this person distantly," I'm gonna go like, "What if I never talked to this person in my life? I'm just gonna die."
It's a small school, the Xavier Institute. It's a small group of a handful of kids there. They are all like, they could consider each other friends.
Yeah. That's the end of 64.
Yeah, and the next issue opens up with Mystique, going on and on to Magneto about how much she hates Xavier for betraying her.
And cheating on her.
Yeah, it's implied he cheated on her with Emma Frost. And again, Forge is like, here we go again, like the same old spiel.
It's just proof that Professor X is just a crappy person.
Yes, yeah, generally. And Magneto is like, well, I need to know that your love for me transcends your hate for Xavier. Like, are you willing to make the ultimate sacrifice? He speaks in vague terms.
Because we're in the end game now, Tinky Winkies.
Yeah, I mean, you might be paraphrasing the Tinky Winkies part, but he does say that they are in the end game now of his
just like the movie.
Plan. Yes, except this was like years before. This had to be like a good 15 years before Endgame.
Yeah.
And Angel, meanwhile, is yelling for guards, yelling for help because Dazzler's been stabbed, and Deathstrike's there saying no one's gonna save you. But then Longshot shows up and from behind grabs Deathstrike and snaps her neck and kills her, being like, "We mutants, look out for our own."
Do we know if that kills her or just knocks her out? Because Deathstrike is like a Wolverine in that she should theoretically regenerate, right?
As far as I could tell, he killed her. He snapped her neck. What do you mean?
Yeah, but that won't kill Wolverine. Why would that kill Deathstrike?
Alright, I'm gonna look this up to see if this is her last appearance and she died for sure, but I'm pretty sure she's done.
Yeah. And Northstar goes like, "We mutants look out for each other," but Angel's like, "Yeah, I don't want anything to do with you. We know you murdered people."
Yeah, he flies away from him.
Yeah, and Longshot sees Sinister muttering. He says like, "I can make mutants live forever," and he goes like, "Well, you're crazy, but shut up or I'll kill you too." Yeah, Longshot in Ultimates is just a murderer. He just is happy killing people.
Yeah, Longshot in this universe, in the Ultimate Universe, is not at all like his 616 counterpart. He's definitely much more of a scumbag and a murderer, of course. But Longshot also sees somebody behind him and he's like, "Oh, hello." And we don't see who this is, but it cuts away from that. And I did also look it up, and from what I read, Deathstrike has not been seen since this issue of Ultimate X-Men, but it's presumed that her healing factor saved her. So maybe she wasn't killed. She
who wrote
might not have been killed, but that's
was
it
it
for her.
Was it a fan, or was it officially her healing factor saved her or whatever.
I don't know. This is just what it says on the Marvel wiki.
Okay.
So that's hasn't been seen since the last appearance of her, but she's not dead, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah.
It's whatever you want it to be. And we cut to Northstar and Havoc. They like run up the side of the Triskelion and run into Magneto, Forge, and Polaris, who they're holding captive. And Northstar gets like trapped, and like Magneto uses his power to like encase him in metal. And they're also like, hey, stay back, Havoc, because like otherwise we're gonna kill Polaris. But Havoc's like being a loudmouth and threatening Magneto. And he like attacks, but he gets caught by Magneto, who like grabs him by the throat.
Scott and the X-Men arrive on a X-Jet, and they think it's safe from Magneto because Hank put in adjustments to keep the plane safe.
Mhm.
But Magneto blows up anyway, and they go like, "Oh, he's using some kind of thing. He changed his frequency of his power, so the safeguards no longer work."
Yeah, because Forge has this backpack on that has the like electromagnetic generator that they used at the beginning of the story to frame Polaris.
Yeah.
It seems like it's juicing up Magneto somehow.
Storm, it's blown up. Everyone's flying. Storm catches Wolverine, and she goes like, "You're fat. You need to go on a diet. You need to go on the Atkins diet."
I'm like, I don't think that's going to help him with the adamantium skeleton. Like, no diet is going to make him weigh less because of that. That's the thing that's making him 300 pounds.
Iceman does catch Kitty, so I guess they're good for now.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I'm not Spider-Man, but it'll have to do. And he goes on this whole joking thing about, sorry I took so long, but I was waking up after getting zapped by Tinkerbell. And Kitty's like, you're so cool. And he's like, oh, are we friends again? And she's like, we'll see after this. And I'm like, I hope they don't like hook up after this. I hope they're just friends after this. Yeah,
they seem to be a little chaotic.
Yeah, they're a toxic relationship. They should just stay friends.
Yeah, but Bobby is. I'll be honest, a lot of the toxicity is coming from Bobby.
Yeah, for sure. He's still hung up on Rogue.
Yeah, and he kind of gets around.
Yeah, exactly. And then Jean uses her powers to take control of Forge's mind because, of course, Magneto's wearing his helmet, and Forge is the one holding Polaris. So she makes sure that Polaris is in no danger. And so while Magneto is holding Havoc, Cyclops blasts him because he knows his power won't hurt Havoc, and so knocks out Magneto. Which is a nice moment of like bonding for like Scott and Alex, where they're like, maybe you don't know us brothers as well as you think.
Also, there's that great line where Magneto goes like, you can't hit me without hitting your brother. And Alex is like, you don't know anything about brothers, do you?
Yeah, really. For someone who claims to know a lot about brotherhood. But yeah, Fury then arrives on the roof with like his howling commandos, and they're like, wait, you can't arrest Polaris. She was framed. And he's like, yeah, Charles told me. But I'm arresting Havoc because Havoc like basically started this whole thing where we could have easily stopped the breakout if he and his boys didn't cause chaos and try to break out Polaris.
And also a lot of guards did die.
Yeah, so there were a lot of casualties, but Wolverine's like, nah, you're not doing this. He's like, you shouldn't have handed Polaris over to Magneto in the first place, so there's plenty of blood on your hands too. And then he also threatens Nick Fury because he's like, he like gets close to him and he's like, and if you don't let them go, I'm gonna tell the president about the cave, about the like unauthorized mission that you sent me on to kill this mutant kid. And so I'm like, oh damn, he's got you.
But it also shows Fury is now just acting illegally, even against U.S. law, because he's just doing things without political authorization.
Yeah, no authorization of the commander-in-chief. George Bush did not give the okay.
I mean, he probably would have if you know.
Yeah. Cheney at least would have.
Yeah. I mean, it's also kind of relevant because now we also have... I mean, now it is the president who's acting.
Ugh, don't remind me. But yeah, Nick Fury agrees, like, okay, let him go, but this is ending our relationship. Like, the X-Men and S.H.I.E.L.D., we're enemies now. And I'm like, oh, damn, that's a big deal.
The X-Men have just been funded by S.H.I.E.L.D. at this point, but then we meet Angel, and he goes like, Dazzler is hurt, and Fury does call a medic for her, though, so...
Yeah, so, like, at least he has the decency to call for medics when a mutant kid from the X-Men is dying, so... Yeah, but yeah, this is a big deal because since the end of the Mark Millar run, the X-Men have been working side by side with S.H.I.E.L.D., so the end of the Brian K. Vaughan run just kind of like dissolves that relationship. And a week later, Professor Xavier arrives at the hospital and tells Angel that like Allison's brainwaves are pretty good. He can hear like some of her thoughts faintly, so there's a good chance she'll come out of this coma that she's in. And Angel's like, listen, if you want to expel me, I totally understand. And he's like, well, I'm glad you say that because
You're officially expelled, but I'll still keep in touch.
he's literally like, you're expelled, quote unquote. But actually, what I want to have you do is go undercover and be a secret agent for me. I want you to go undercover at the Frost Academy of Tomorrow. And I want you to like report back to me about it because I don't trust her and her students after this whole incident.
It's also kind of like a bit, but this was against her will, and also like she's a lot more accountable than you are, Professor X. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And he says the deal was that if Dazzler wakes up, she'll still be in the school because as a bad girl, she still needs the school in a way he doesn't.
Yeah, which is nice of him to be like, hey, she still needs you, so if she wakes up, like, don't expel her, like, keep her enrolled at the school.
Yeah, and also I also want to say that Professor X kind of just has a soft spot for Angel in the Ultimates. Scene.
Yeah, I mean, Angel's just a cutie. He's a himbo, you know?
I thought you didn't like him because he's a twink. He once told me.
He is a twink. But, like, what professor could say no to that face? He's a little puppy dog. But yeah, this is an interesting direction to go in. Like, I think that actually finds a good, because like it felt like Angel and Dazzler were kind of just like hanging out in the periphery for a lot of this story. So like I think giving Angel a specific mission outside of the X-Men to like do undercover like reconnaissance for the X-Men at Emma Frost's Academy will be cool to see, and I'm excited by that direction. But yeah, we get to Colossus back at the Institute on the phone with Northstar, and they're all making chummy, and Nightcrawler's like, what was that about? And he's like, oh yeah, Northstar just asked me to homecoming. And I'm like, oh, that's cute.
And he tells Nightcrawler, you know who inspired me? You did. And Nightcrawler just poops away.
Yeah, because he's like, yeah, Nightcrawler, if you have the bravery to like stand up and be who you are, despite society judging your appearance, I should be myself and like be out and be openly gay. But Nightcrawler, being the homophobe he is in the Ultimate Universe, just bamps away immediately. And I'm like, Jesus. Like, 616 Kurt would never. He's like the most loving, accepting person in all of X-Men. This is just an insult to mainline Nightcrawler.
This is when we get like Nightcrawler going from like, okay, he has flaws too. No, he's gonna be an outright monster now too, just like so much of the Ultimates.
Yeah, this is nothing like mainline Nightcrawler, who's like, yeah, he's very religious, he's devout Catholic, but he's also like one of the most like loving and open and accepting members of the X-Men, and fun and sweet and whimsical.
It's like how Captain America is what America should be and could be. Like Nightcrawler is like, oh, this is what a Christian could be and should be, but often aren't. Yeah.
No, I agree with that entirely. Yeah.
Yeah. Rogue arrives and she has Gambit's powers. She has the
she's
eyes.
like, some things never change, huh, Pete? And yeah, she calls Colossus Mon Ami, and she's still got like the glowing red eyes that Gambit has. But she's back. She's back at the Xavier Institute.
Yeah. Emma visits Magneto in jail and says, like, you do something like this, I'll have you executed. I know Charles is against the death penalty, but I'm not. But the Magneto looks away and we find out it's Mystique.
Yeah, because his eyes glow yellow, just like Mystique in the movies too, so you can tell Ultimate Mystique is inspired a lot by the Bryan Singer movies of the early 2000s, where her eyes glow yellow and she has a connection to Magneto and they have kind of a thing going on. Yeah. But yes, it's Mystique in prison, which is the big plot twist. That's what he was talking about at the beginning of the issue when Magneto was saying, are you willing to make the ultimate sacrifice? It's like she took the fall and posed as Magneto while Magneto secretly escaped. So this whole issue, after he's like, we're in the end game, that was Mystique the whole time. And she was the one who got arrested. And we cut to Longshot and Magneto sneaking away in the sewers. And Magneto also reveals, your probability manipulation helped me escape unseen. And it was my agents who tipped off Nick Fury, telling them where you were so he would capture you, bring you to the Triskelion, and then you could help me escape. Yeah, so he is like the ultimate chess master in this.
Yeah. And Longshot goes, what's next? We kill all the humans? And Magneto goes, no, that was yesterday's plan. We have a tomorrow waiting for us. And they're just in the Savage Land.
Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute, haven't you gone to the Savage Land before? How is this trying something new? What do you mean?
I guess because Magneto earlier is not in hiding. This one is, but and what a better place to hide than your old hiding spot?
Yeah, it's like the last place they'd look. They'd be like, oh, he's been there before. He's not going to do that again, is he? Yeah. Like, yeah, he is.
Like, pretty sure he is. Also, like, a big place. It's hard to just I guess you could just hide there for a while.
It's just like, are you kidding me? Trying something new, my ass. Nice one, Magneto. Yeah, that's the end of the Brian K. Vaughan, Stuart Immonen run on Ultimate X-Men.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts, Josh?
I like this one. I don't have a lot of complaints on it. It is a different take on Magneto and Kurt that I have mixed feelings about. I especially don't like the take on Kurt because they never, spoilers ahead, they never really resolved this homophobia with Kurt. I could see 616 Kurt, like, at one point being homophobe, but they would have, like, made a way to move him past that. They never do with Kurt, he just gets worse. Spoilers. But
yeah, no, that's for sure. He does get worse and worse, and I think I know what you're talking about, and that will be interesting when we get to that story.
Yeah, but overall, great comic. It's everything you like about X-Men action. There's the theme of, like, girls getting passed around between guys who compare themselves to each other, which is weird, but there's a lot of parallels between characters and story arcs in this story, so.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, overall, it was a great story. I thought they went out on a high note with this, like you're saying, with all the character drama and the different dynamics, and especially the family drama and all the Ultimates X-Men clash and everything. And it leaves off where you're like, ooh, that we're going in some interesting directions where, like, S.H.I.E.L.D. and the X-Men are no longer connected, and Dazzler's in a coma, and Angel is going off to go undercover at the Academy for Tomorrow, and Rogue is back, and Colossus is dating Northstar now. So, yeah, I'm excited to see where the series goes from here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all for this episode. Next time, we're going to be discussing, it's this 2-issue miniseries called Ultimate X4, just like an X-Men Fantastic Four crossover. It's going to be like 2 issues from 2006. But until next time, Josh, where can our listeners get in touch with us if they want to talk to us about comics, the comics we read for the podcast, or anything else, really?
Same place as always. It's ultimatecomicspodcast@gmail.com. Comics plural, podcast singular.
That is right. You can also follow us at Ultimate Comics Podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We have full videos of this podcast on YouTube. We also have Reels and TikToks on Instagram and TikTok. And we post images from the comics we read on Instagram. So feel free to give us a follow. We love interacting with all of our followers on social media.
Yeah.
But until next time, everyone, take care and make mine Ultimate Comics. Bye-bye.